Hello everybody, I'm Thomas. Welcome back to another video. This time I'm back with the 5th episode of my series, Let's Roll Up a Dungeon, where today I will be using the RPG Oldskull Dungeon Generator to roll up a dungeon. So today's RPG is Oldskull Dungeon Generator, written by Kent David Kelly. What's cool about this is the whole book is dedicated to generating dungeons. So unlike some of the previous sources I've used where it's just maybe part of the source, this whole book is dedicated to dungeon generation. So it has a lot of really good stuff in it. So considering the fact that this whole book is about dungeon generation, I'm mainly just going to skim through it. I'm not going to spend too much time on all the little details. I'll just kind of go over the different tables there are and kind of skim through it. So to start out for this book, I'm actually going to hop to the back where they have this little table access just to quickly talk about each of the tables, and then I will quickly skim through them. So table number 1 is for a starting area. Then you have table number 2, which is beyond the door. 3 is the corridor crawl, which is kind of like what it sounds like, use that for corridors. 4 is dead end, when you reach a dead end in a corridor. 5 is level connectors, on how you connect different levels of a dungeon. 6 is monster guarded treasure. 7 is monster lair. 8, you have room generation, which includes room size and shape, room exits and locations, door types, unusual doors, and room contents. Then you have side passages, a trap table, you have a trick table with a bunch of sub-tables under it for trick feature, trick classification, trick trigger condition, the negative attributes for a trick, positive attributes for a trick, and advanced trick types. And then finally, you have the last table, unguarded treasure. Most of these tables we will be using today. There was a good chunk of them that were not, just because I have my outline already prepared, so I don't need to actually stock it with stuff like, the monster lair or the tricks and traps. I already kind of have that stuff more or less prepared. So starting with the starting area, table number 1 is a D10 roll where they have these really nice graphed out pictures of some different cool starting areas. So you had that one called the Matrix. This is the Hanged Man, Alice in Wonderland, the Straight and Narrow, the Spider, and the Squashed X, all very unique and interesting looking maps. And they all have a staircase that kind of acts as the entrance. And then you have different either passages or doors or a combination of both. And they have some little tips for how to make your starting area good over here. Table number 2 is beyond the door. So you roll on this to see what's beyond a door. And it could be anything from branching corridor to what else we got? More corridors, corridor going left, straight corridor, a door in a branching hall. And these tables, as you can see, it's a D100 roll, and this is only, okay, well, there's a lot of stuff here, and there's a lot of details to it, but then the last half is just there might be a room on the other side, or a T intersection 10 foot wide, or Y intersection 10 foot wide. So, and you can see some of these are pretty detailed, so I really like the amount of detail in this book. It's pretty great. So next, table 3, corridor crawl, where you roll on this when it's a D100 roll when you're doing a corridor roll and you need to see what's beyond it. So does the corridor just end? Does it turn left? Is there a trap? And there's all sorts of stuff. Once again, pretty extensive table, and you can see each option has a decent amount of details. I mean, some, this is like 67 through 73, so it's not like each number has its own option, but each of the options still has a decent description on what it could be, whether it's just a side passage on the right or a straight corridor, 2 passages near, a wandering monster, stuff like that. So the corridor crawl has some pretty great detail. Then you have table 4, which is the dead end table. Okay, you reach to the end of a corridor. Is it actually a dead end? And if it is, what's there? Is it just vacant and barren? Is there a trap? Is there a major feature, a minor feature, a concealed door? Stuff like that. You can roll when you hit a dead end to see if it's actually a dead end. And if it is, maybe you could spice it up a little bit. Table 5 is the level connectors, which I don't plan on using. My dungeons could be more or less one level. I mean, there's gonna be like some elevation changes, I imagine, but I'm not really trying to do a multi-level dungeon at the moment because that's gonna take a bit more time to draw up and roll up. But they have some really interesting and a good variety of different level connectors, whether you want just like normal stairs or an unusual level connectors, the level connector subtype, and you have the unusual level connectors, whether it's like an air shaft, a collapsed floor, a climbing wall, a ladder, a sinkhole, smoke hole, a trapdoor to a chute, a windpipe. Like there's a wide variety of stuff there. Next table number 6 is monster guarded treasure. Not something I'm really going to touch on too much because I don't plan on using it, but they have a way to roll up treasure. And then the next table. Table number 7 is the monster lair table. Once again, has a good amount of creatures and whatnot. Don't really plan on using that for today since I have my outline prepared. Table number 8 is the room generator, which we'll definitely be using quite a lot. And this has some good subtables to it. So you have like the first subtable, which is the room size and shape. You roll a D100 to see if it's like a square or if it's a short rectangle, and then the specific dimensions of the room. And also, I'll kind of zoom in if you can't really see, but all of them have the exits listed. So if I roll up, a somewhat small rectangular room, it tells you it's 20 feet by 30 feet, what the total area is, and then also how many exits it has, which is pretty helpful. And towards the end of this table, you also have some unusual shaped rooms. You can get stuff that's circular, oval, diamond shaped, triangular, parallelogram, like stuff like that. You get some pretty unusual shapes. The next little subtable is for room exits and exit location. The room exits is already part of the previous table, but then this does have a nice D20 table that you can roll on if you want to figure out where the exits are. Then you can use that. The next subtable is a door types table. So if you want to roll to see each door, what kind of door it is, you can roll on this. So there's a 40% chance it's just a normal door, or maybe the door is stuck, or maybe it's locked, or maybe it's an unusual door. And then if it's an unusual door, you have this next subtable of a D100 roll for all these unusual doors, which might be a door with an alarm, or a one-way door, or a secret door, or a cave-in partially cleared. And you have decent amount of options for some unusual doors. Next little subtable is the room contents. So you can use this to help figure out what exactly is in the room, whether it's like an empty room and some details about it, like an empty room that's a hideout, or an empty room that's furnished, or an empty room that's a torture chamber, stuff like that. There's a bunch of different options in here. Next, you have the side passage table, which is kind of what it sounds like. You use this when a passage branches off another passage, and you use this just so you don't get too many sprawling and intersecting passages. So you roll on this to see where a side passage goes. And it's another D100 table with lots of different options, whether it's like a corridor trap, whether it turns left or right, whether there's a door somewhere. Lots of different options. A room straight ahead with a river bisecting the passage. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, and as you get towards like the higher results, there's some more interesting options here. Next, you have the trap table, which is another D100 table of different traps that you can have, from like alarms to corpses to fungus to just enchanted runes, gas vents, spell triggers, all sorts of stuff. And then you have the trick table. So all sorts of tricks, and this has a bunch of subtables. So you first have the trick feature, which is kind of, what the trick is involving. And then you have the classification of the trick, whether it's negative or positive and stuff like that. You got D100 table for all of that. The next subtable for the trick trigger condition, which is a D100 table of what the condition is, whether it's your ability score or alignment, your age, stuff like that. You have the negative attribute table, a D100 table for a bunch of different negative attributes that your trick could have. And then you keep going through this table. You have the positive attributes table for all the positive attributes that a trick could have. Next, you have the next little subtable, advanced trick types, which is just more advanced tricks, I guess. And then you have the unguarded treasure table, which I guess is just for different treasures that you find that are unguarded. Stuff from just gold to gems to magic item to random stuff like spices or a treasure map. These are all stuff that you can find. And that's pretty much it. We reach the appendix at the end. And what's kind of cool, I guess I will flip to this, there actually is a decent chunk of the rules about how to play this solitaire. So if you just wanted to use this as you're generate the dungeon as you're playing, it kind of outlines some tips and how the best way to do that. But hopefully this gives you a good idea of what's all in this. So let's quickly go over the outline. Okay, so for today's dungeon, I kind of want to do a more urban dungeon. So I figured the best way to do that would be some sewer system that's under a city. So today we'll be generating the Shattered Sewers dungeon. It's gonna be a medium-sized dungeon. Its type tags will be a base and a sanctuary, because it's gonna be kind of a base to different factions and types of criminals and stuff like that. And then also it's gonna be a bit of a sanctuary for some cultists and whatnot. As far as the detail tags, it's going to be urban, undead, and commercial. Urban because it's going to be like under a city. Commercial because it's under a city, so that might be part of it, but also there might be some trading and whatnot going on down there. Some trading of illegal goods, who knows? And then undead because there's probably going to be some undead type creatures, and there's going to be some cultists bringing stuff back to life, dark magic, stuff like that. As for the purpose, it was originally built to manage the city's waste and water. The shattered sewers have transformed into a nefarious hideaway where criminal activities, dark cult practices, and secret trading take place away from the prying eyes of the city watch. As for the history, after a massive earthquake devastated the structure, sections of the sewer were abandoned due to unsafe conditions and monstrous infestations. Over time, various factions discovered and repurposed the shattered sewers, turning it into a hub beneath the city. As far as some factions, the first one is the Shadowed Hand, a guild of thieves and assassins who utilize the sewers for covert operations and as a sanctuary from city law. Next, you have Cult of the Abyssal Oracle, dark clerics and warlocks who worship elder gods, seeking ancient artifacts to unleash chaos upon the city above. And then finally, you have the Goblin Cartel, a group of cunning goblins who manage illegal gambling and trading within the sewers, always ready to capitalize on others' misfortunes. As for the creatures and enemies, first you have giant sewer rats, which are mutated rodents, territorial and hungry, and they'll attack anyone infringing upon their domain. Next, you have dark cult acolytes, which are zealous followers of eldritch gods, wielding dark magic against those opposing their unholy objectives. Next, you have corrupted thieves, members of the Shadowed Hand, twisted by dark powers, blending shadow magic with their thieving skills. Next, you have gelatinous cubes, kind of a classic. Oozes roaming the sewer, dissolving organic material and ventures alike, leaving clean passageways in their wake. And then finally, you have sewer goblins, which are mischievous and cunning inhabitants of the goblin gamble den, skilled in traps and surprise attacks. As for a couple of quest hooks, the first quest is called Vanishing Villagers. It says people from the city's poorest district are disappearing. Tracks lead to the sewers and families plead for brave souls to investigate. Next quest is called Mysterious Mutations. Creatures from the sewers are emerging, mutated and aggressive. The city council commissions the party to discover the cause and eliminate it. The final quest is called Goblin Gambling Debt. A gambler owns the Goblin Cartel a sizable debt and offers the party a map of the sewers in exchange for settling his score. As for some condition and lighting tags, figure the condition is going to be pretty ancient. It's going to be collapsed because of the earthquake and whatnot. And it's going to be probably pretty dark, except for some occasional light from like sewer grates and cracks in the surface above. As for the sounds, probably just mainly dripping / running water and muffled conversations, either from people above or from like the Goblin Cartel or whoever else is lurking down in the sewers. As for smells, the air is thick with a mix of dampness, decay, and the unmistakable stench of waste. This is a sewers, so it's going to smell pretty not great, I imagine. And as for the temperature, it's underground and kind of near water, so I figured it's going to be pretty consistently cool. All right, as for the rooms, first room is the Gated Descent. It's a precipitous stairway into darkness, booby-trapped by local thieves to ward off unwelcomed guests. Next, you have the Fetid Lagoon, a wide, stinking pool of waste, hiding subaquatic creatures and secret pathways beneath its murky surface. Third room is Cultist Conclave, hidden behind a deceptive wall, a room where dark cultists perform profane rituals to subterranean deities. Next, you have the Merchant's Grotto, a concealed marketplace where illegal goods, information, and dark artifacts are traded under an unstable ceiling. Next, you have the Cursed Cellar, a storage room of cursed items and animated objects, maliciously eager to thwart those who dare to enter. Next, you have the Goblin Gamble Den, a lively, risky gambling den run by goblins, offering games of chance with stakes much higher than mere gold. Next, you have the Flooded Vaults. Once used as storage, these rooms are now submerged underwater, hiding treasures and aquatic threats. Next, you have the Undergrowth, a section overtaken by underground vegetation. Some plants are carnivorous or have magical properties. Next, you have Sewer Drifts, which is like a maze-like corridor filled with thick, noxious fumes, and venturing without any protection or means of clearing the air could be perilous. And then finally, last room is the Ember Forge Depths, which is an old underground forge still radiating with heat, where fire-based creatures have taken residence attracted to the warmth. With that all out of the way, let's roll up a dungeon. All right, so we're pretty much ready to go. I'll quickly note that normally I do my squares as 5 feet by 5 feet, but when I did a practice dungeon of using this source, the dungeons got kind of big, even though I have a lot of drawing space. So what I think I'll do is just make each square 10 feet by 10 feet. And if something is like a 15 foot or a 5 foot, I'll just either scale it down or up. Maybe I'll like roll a dice just to make it like 50-50. So if it's like a 15-foot corridor, I'll roll a D10. And if it's 10 or lower, it'll be 10 feet. Or if it's above, I'll make it 20 feet. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, sometimes some of these corridors can get really long, and I think it just makes more sense that each square will be 10 feet. So first roll of the dungeon is a D10 roll to see what kind of starting area we're going to draw up. So I'll roll this and I get a 4, which a 4 is the Hanged Man starting area. So let me draw that up. All right, so there it is all drawn up. Not my cleanest drawing in the world, but all the other rooms should be a little bit cleaner. And we have a lot of different starting areas to go off. We have this staircase is what descends down into the sewers. And then you have these 2 doors up top, 1 door there, and 2 side passages over those different directions. So let's go ahead and maybe start with this top left door and see what's beyond that door. So D100 roll, and it is a 37. So let me see what that's going to be. A 37 is a door and corridor leading diagonally right 10 foot wide. Okay, I mean, it's not my cleanest, straightest corridor, but I think that's what I'm supposed to be going for. And I don't know if that's exactly 60 feet, but it's like 6 squares is what I measured. So it's good enough, hopefully. But let's see what's beyond this door here. So let's do another beyond the door roll. And this time we get 84. Which looks like beyond this door is a room. So let's go ahead and generate up a room. So first things first is figuring out the room size and shape. That is a 33. So a 33 is a fairly large and square. So it's 40 feet by 40 feet with 1 D4 exit. See how many exits it has. Have 2 exits. All right, so there's the new square room. And then we can roll to see where the exit locations are. So there's 2 exits, so we can roll a D20 to see where they go. So a 13 is a door to the west, and maybe I'll just roll a D4 to see where exactly it is, and that's a 2. And then let's roll up another D20 to see what the other exit is, and it's a door in the direct opposite wall. I guess we can roll another D4 just to see where it is, and that's also a 2. Okay, well, that's that first little area done. I want to kind of go and get all the starting area stuff done first before I start expanding off of that. So let's go ahead and see what's beyond this door here, which that's going to be a 19. Okay, so we got this really long corridor. It was saying go left, but it's going to intersect with my other corridor, which I don't really want at the moment. So I'm going to have it go that way. And let's do a corridor crawl roll to see what we get. And it's 25. Which at 25 says there's a door on the right fairly nearby. So there's a door 20 feet ahead on the right-hand wall, and then the corridor continues on 30 feet beyond that point. All right, well, that corridor might go on for a while. So let's hop back to some of these passages down here, and let's do a corridor crawl off of this bottom right passage to see where that's going, and that is an 84. Which an 84 on the corridor crawl is a straight corridor long, so it's going to just keep going straight ahead 50 feet. All right, let's do another corridor crawl roll, and this time it is 90, which 90 is a straight corridor very long, so this time it is going for 80 feet straight. This is just a long straight corridor, I guess. All right, well, I guess let's continue this corridor a little bit more and see if it's just going to keep going straight or not. 99. Okay, 99 is a wandering monster, so I'm just going to reroll as it doesn't really help map it out. And this time we get 80. Okay, that's another straight corridor. I'm rerolling it. I don't want this corridor to just be all straight. I think that's another straight. 87, that's more straight. Can I get a low number, please? There we go, 25. Okay, so this is door on the right, fairly nearby. So it's going to continue 20 feet ahead, door on the right-hand wall, and then go for 30 more feet. Okay, well, I'm gonna put that corridor on pause as I kind of want to get back to seeing what's beyond that door and get that corridor started, and then we'll kind of start hopping around. I want to get these starting areas kind of at least started before branching out too far. So let's do a beyond the door roll for this door and seeing what's there, and we get a 78. Which a 78 is going to be a room on the other side of this door, so we need to hop to the room generator. Okay, let's do a roll for the room size first, which we get 63. So that looks like it's going to be a huge and nearly square room, 60 feet by 80 feet, with a D4 plus 2 exits. So there's going to be 5 exits. All right, well, let's do some D20 rolls to see where these exits are. The first one is an archway or opening to the north. Okay, well, that's gonna be kind of just going back into there, which I guess maybe isn't the worst. Yeah, we can maybe put it like way on the right-hand side and then connect that up. All right, exit number 2 is going to be a door to the north. I'm gonna re-roll that. We don't have a more room to the north. 19, that is an archway on the direct opposite wall. And then I guess we can maybe roll a D8 just to get like a random position, and we get 3. So it's 12. We still got 3 more exits to go. I think that's another door on the north wall. Not happening. That's 19 again. So it's another archway on the opposite wall. We can do that again. So let's roll another D8 and we get a 2 this time. I'm going to re-roll that or else they'd be like right next to each other. A 5. Okay, I can do that. I just realized for this bottom wall, I should probably be rolling a D6, not a D8. I should be rolling a D8 for that wall, but whatever. So there's 3 of the exits. So 17 is the next one, which is a door direct opposite wall. This opposite wall is taken up. Let's get something on like the east or west wall. 8 is an archway to the southeast. Okay, so maybe I'll just kind of put it down here. That would be southwest. So actually I'll put it down here, which makes a little bit more sense. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think we just need one more exit. This place is gonna have a lot of exits. A 4 is an archway to the northeast. So up this area, I guess. Okay, so lots of exits here. Most of them are just archways that'll be corridors, but at least we got that room figured out. So I kind of want to figure out what's going on with this passage a little bit, and then I'll start going back to some of the other stuff we already have. So let's do a corridor crawl roll for this corridor, and we get 70. Okay, so that is a room straight ahead, somewhat near. So the corridor runs for 40 feet, and then there's an archway or opening to a room. So let me go ahead and draw that corridor, and then we'll roll up that room. All right, so let's do a D100 roll for the room size and shape. That is a 58. So it's going to be a fairly large and rectangular room, 30 feet by 50 feet with D4 exits. So 3 exits. All right, so there's that room and the 3 exits. Let's go ahead and roll the D20 to see what's going on with these exits. The first one's going to be door in the direct opposite wall. So somewhere over there, and maybe I'll just roll a D4 or something to see kind of where it's at. It's gonna be at the bottom. All right, next exit is a 1. So it's a door to the north. Maybe I'll just roll a D6 to kind of get an idea. Okay, it's gonna be on the far left. One more exit is going to be another 1. So another door to the north. I guess I'll just put it at the top right. So here's what we got so far. It's definitely an interesting looking dungeon. We got what, 4 rooms so far, so we're not quite halfway there. Let's go with this weird corridor up here and see kind of what's going on with it. So let me do a corridor crawl roll, and we get 80. So 80 is just a straight long corridor, so it will just continue 50 feet ahead. All right, let's see where this weird diagonal corridor is going next. That's a 53. So that is a room straight ahead, fairly near. So it's gonna go 30 feet and then there's gonna be a room. So let me draw the corridor and then we'll roll up a room. Okay, and I kind of, even though this corridor is going diagonal, I kind of made it turn at the end here just so I don't have to draw this room on a diagonal. But let's go ahead and roll up for the room size and shape, which we get 25, which 25 gives us a medium-sized and square room of 30 feet by 30 feet with D4 exits. So we're gonna have just 1 exit. So let's see what the situation is with the 1 exit, and it's a 12. So that's gonna be an archway opening to the southwest. Okay, well, I'm gonna put that room on pause and kind of figure out what's going on with this long corridor here. I guess it's a wide corridor, and it's getting pretty long, but let's do another corridor crawl, and that's a 12. 12 is a corridor turn right and then go straight, so it's gonna go 20 feet, turn right, and then go 50 feet further. All right, well, it looks like these corridors are about to intersect, but let's see what the dice say. So that's a 52. Well, it says it goes straight and 30 feet, and then there's a room, but 30 feet would just intersect it with that. So I guess no room, it just intersects. So I guess I'll just draw that. Okay, I don't hate that. I mean, I would have preferred to have more rooms, but at the same time, I kind of do like when corridors connect around and whatnot like that. So let's see what's beyond that door there with a beyond the door roll, and we get 72. Which is 72 will be a room. So let's go ahead and do a roll for the room size, and we get 20. Which a roll of 20 gives us a medium-sized and square room that's going to be 30 feet by 30 feet, and then I'll roll a d4 to see how many exits, and there are 2 exits. So let's get the first exit rolled up. That's a 10, so it's going to be an archway or opening to the south. Let's just roll like a d6 to get kind of a location, and that's a 6, so we'll put it all the way on the right. Let's go ahead and roll up the other exit, and this one is a 17, so that's going to be a door on the direct opposite wall. Okay, so I guess we could just put it at the bottom left. All right, let's get the other exit rolled up real fast. That is a 14, so it's an archway or opening on the west wall, and I'll roll a d6 just to see. I rolled it at my actual dice tray here, a 5, so it's going to be on the bottom. All right, well, let's do a corridor crawl for this one going to the left here. So let me roll my D100 and we get 88. An 88 is just a straight corridor short, so it just goes straight 20 feet. And we'll do another roll, and this time it is 58. So it's gonna go straight 30 feet, and then there's a room. I might make the executive decision that it doesn't go straight anymore, it's just gonna hit the room, or else this room is gonna collide with this area over here probably. So we'll kind of just leave that as is and roll up the room size, which we get 13. Okay, I take that back. I drew in the extra 30 feet because this room is only going to be 20 feet by 20 feet. So not very big, and it can actually fit in there just fine. So I guess I was wrong about that. Now you roll a D3, so I'll just roll a D6 and kind of count like in 2s. So that means a 2 is there's only 1 exit. So then we can go ahead and roll a D20 to see what the exit situation is. And that is a 15, which a 15 means the door is to the northwest. Okay. Okay, well, I kind of changed that little corridor a bit just to kind of connect all of this up. So I put the door there and kind of erase some stuff just to make that all work. All right, so let's see what's going on with this corridor going down from here. So let's do a corridor roll, and that is 61, which a 61 means there is a room straight ahead near. So it goes 20 feet straight, and then there's a room. So once again, there might not be a lot of room for this room, but let me go ahead and roll for the room size and then see if I can make it fit, or if I don't have, maybe I'll just forego the 20 feet straight ahead. So let me roll D100 for room size. That is 76. That's probably gonna be big, isn't it? 76 is a fairly large rectangular room, 30 feet by 50 feet. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're not gonna have room for a corridor, so maybe I would just put that room kind of right next to over here. All right, so here's what we have so far. We got starting room, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rooms so far. So we're not doing too bad on number of rooms. We're gonna probably start having to wrap it up pretty quickly. So let me start doing some other stuff. Maybe I'll go ahead and just end this corridor here just so we don't have to worry about that. And let's maybe go see what's going on with some of these doors over here. So I'll go with this top right door first, which is a 65. So let's see what's beyond the door. So that's going to be a room. So let's go ahead and generate what kind of room it's going to be, which 23 is going to be a medium-sized and square room of 30 feet by 30 feet. It's going to have 1d4 exits, so it's going to have 2 exits. So let's go ahead and see what's going on with the first exit, which is a 19. Meaning there is a archway on the direct opposite wall. Maybe I'll just roll a d6 to get an idea of where it is, and it looks like it's gonna be kind of in the middle. As for the other exit, let's roll that up, and that is a 16. So that is going to be an archway to the northwest. Okay, let's do a beyond the corridor roll for this north corridor that's kind of coming out of this room that we just created, and that's going to be 73. So this says it goes, there's 40 feet ahead, and then there's a room. There's exactly 40 feet, and there's already a room, so I guess that works out pretty good. So maybe I will just draw that up, and we'll connect that up. All right, then let's see what's going on to this corridor to the left here, and that is an 18. Okay, it looks like it's just a dead end. Or is it? So now we need to roll on the dead end table. So let's see what this dead end is, and a 15 means it's just vacant and barren. So I guess this corridor, I don't know, it's like collapsed in or something, but it's not actually a corridor, I guess. Okay. So let's see what's going on with this door down here. Let's roll that up, and that is a 45. Interesting. So that is just a trapped door. So I'll just kind of put a T on that. And it's just like a false door. It's a trap door. It doesn't actually go anywhere. So let's see this big room. Let's do some corridor rolls off of here. And let's go with this top one. That's an 81. So 81 just means that is a straight long corridor. So it's going to go 50 feet straight. Let's continue this corridor and see where this is going. That is an 83, which is also same thing, straight long corridor. So it's going to go 50 feet straight again. Let's see if this corridor is just going to keep going straight. No. Well, maybe. I don't know. It's an 18. An 18 is a dead end again. But let's go ahead and roll in the dead end table and see what we get. So that is an 8. All right. It's just vacant and barren. So nothing down there. Let's see what's going on with this bottom left passage here and do a corridor crawl roll, which is 60. So that is room straight ahead nearby. So it's going to go 20 feet straight, and then there's a room. So let me draw that, and then we'll roll up the room. So rolling up the room, we get 6. So that's going to be a small square room of 20 feet by 20 feet with D3 rooms or exits. So that's going to be 3 exits. Actually, I don't think I'm going to draw any exits because with that, we're pretty much at 10 rooms. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rooms. So I kind of want to start wrapping this up. So I think down here, what I'm going to do is close off this passage, and then I'm going to have this one go off to the side and then kind of connect up with that. Something like that, just to have a little bit more of a looping corridor. I'll probably just close off this passage here. As for this room, maybe we'll make, I kind of like the idea of having some more trapdoors. So maybe I'll make that a trapdoor, and then maybe I'll just kind of connect these 2 doors together. Something like that. As far as this door, probably just going to get rid of that door. I think this passage up here on this small little room, I'm probably going to keep that open as like a secondary exit / entrance to the dungeon. And then I think that's pretty much it for all the corridors and rooms. All right, so now for the final part of rolling up this dungeon, let's go ahead and label these rooms. So starting area makes sense as the gated descent. Then you have the fetid lagoon, which, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll make that, I kind of like maybe making that one of these areas up here. So maybe go with that being the kind of lagoon area. And I kind of like maybe we can make this door a secret door, and maybe also this door like a secret door. So then that this area down here could be the cultists' conclave, with this area over here maybe being the cursed cellar. And then I kind of like this big area here being the merchant's grotto. Maybe down here, we'll make this the flooded vaults. I'm kind of jumping around here. This area could be the goblin's gamble den. Maybe we can make this area, this small room, the kind of undergrowth area where plants have taken over. Maybe we'll make this long corridor here the area number 9, which is like that sewer drifts area. And then this top part up here can be the Emberforge depths. So then this room here can kind of just be nothing and kind of just be like a small corridor entrance to like the cultist area and whatnot. But yeah, with that done, this dungeon is looking pretty well done. So now let's do a final dungeon walkthrough. So Shattered Sewers. You first enter through the gated descent, which is a precipitous stairway into darkness, booby-trapped by local thieves to ward off unwelcome guests. You head south and you hit room number 4, which is the Merchant's Grotto, a concealed marketplace where illegal goods, information, and dark artifacts are traded under an unstable ceiling. You have some random corridors going off of there, and then 8 down here is the Undergrowth, a section overtaken by underground vegetation. Some plants are carnivorous or have magical properties. From the starting area going west, you hit area number 6, which is the Goblin Gamble Den, a lively, risky gambling den run by goblins, offering games of chance with stakes much higher than mere gold. You head to the door north of that, you'll hit area 7, which is like the flooded vaults. Once used as storage, these rooms are now submerged underwater, hiding treasure and aquatic threats. North of that area, area number 2, is the Fetid Lagoon, a wide, stinking pool of waste, hiding subaquatic creatures and secret pathways beneath its murky surface. Taking this corridor way up here, this is number 9, the Sewer Drifts, which is a maze-like corridor filled with thick, noxious fumes. Venturing without protection or means of clearing the air could be perilous. Up here at the top, you have the Emberforge Depths, an old underground forge still radiating heat. Some fire-based creatures have taken residence here, attracted to the warmth. Also, there is a passage here, maybe that's like leading, above ground or somewhere else as another exit/entrance to the dungeon. Taking this little passage up here, secret door to this area number 5, which is the Cursed Cellar, a storage room of cursed items and animated objects, maliciously eager to thwart those who dare to enter. You have this big old corridor that kind of wraps around here. And this area number 3, inside this corridor, is the Cultist Conclave, hidden behind a deceptive wall, a room where dark cultists perform profane rituals to subterranean deities. And the corridor wraps around, and there's a trapdoor, and that is pretty much it for the Shattered Sewers. All right, as far as the dungeon for next week, I actually don't have the outline prepared because I still don't really know what I want to do. So as far as the system I'm using, I will be using 2d6 dungeon to generate the dungeon. So whatever it's going to be, that's what I'll be using, but you'll have to just find out next time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. And until next time, I'll see you.